Hey, how's it, everybody? Just catching up on a Sunday evening. Get ready for Monday. And let's see, just got to tweak some things here. It's Home Simpson. Caroline, welcome back. Rich, I'm Paula de Graca. Graca or Drasa? Oh, I always forget, don't I? And let's see, Robin Van den Nine. No, Denine there? Oh dear. Oh, can't get that name right. Hey, Rescue. Alright, but turn my camera on for the microscope, and I've got to change some settings here. Open board data. Set up that. Zoom fixation done. Board preferences. Ah, nice. Found it automatically. You're gonna come up with data. Why you no show me my data? Quit. Alrighty. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Clearly I've left something off somewhere. Oh well, good thing it's an alpha tester. Let's see, who else we got? Lars, hello Lars. Annex and Jim Hook. Right to repair. Oh, who's right to repair? Haven't heard of you before. Let's see. We're actually also carrying on from last night's 1466. I didn't quite get to finish everything right. We've got to put that camera connector back on, and then there was a few things I needed to clean up and check. Ugh, that was all jammed in there. Camera connector is going to be the most interesting part of this. Hey Marcera. Alrighty. Now regarding FlexBoardview, it's an announcement some people are going to chuck a little fitty witty over and pull their hair out, or basically have a hissy fit, but I've decided at this point, based on the last 18 months of support work and things like that the price has gone up, and now it is $149 over 2 years of updates. So you're basically getting, it is costing more. So consider the first 18 months of the FlexBoardview life as the introductory pricing offer, and that is now done and done. It's just, see, the trouble is I need to be able to pay for subcontractors, people to add new parts to FlexBoardview, to be able to pay people to do things like open board data, stuff like that, and I just can't do that with the current pricing system. So it sort of prices it on the upfront cost above ZXW, but over the lifespan, of course, it's substantially cheaper still. So that's going to go. I probably won't see sales for a little bit, but it's I just couldn't do it. What triggered me was I spent a couple of hours today dealing with support on a situation that basically shouldn't have been like that, and it was at that point I decided, if I'm burning up that sort of time on these sort of things that come up even though they shouldn't, then I need to be able to factor that in. Fortunately, most people, hey John, most people who were early adopters, who already knew me and things like that, will already have their nice, cheap FlexBoardview. Alright, let's get this camera connector sorted out. No one likes price increases, well, except the people getting the money, which will be me in this case. Plus I need to buy a house. Let's see, what did I say? You're not supplying board views. Flex board view is spreading. I've just bought a new fridge and they have not supplied any food. I'm very sorry about that cancerous sort of behavior of companies doing that. Yes. How could they not give you free food? We'll have to watch out for that. Hey, Richard Pearson. How's things down there, John? You guys haven't suffered too much from the bushfires going around the country, have you? Alright, shock horror, I'm having to put this board vertically orientated, contrary to certain over loud people. Not sure if I'm going to get this off from the top side. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But since we've got a number of these boards, I'm going to try top side first. Yeah, my Sarah, I mean, if it's for hobby use, yeah, open board view is perfectly good for the job. No reason not to keep using open board view. I have updated my personal fork of it. So, yeah, it is keeping fairly well up to date with what's important. What are you snagging on over here? Okay. Oh, sweet. Flip. Hello, Mr. Rossman. Lewis, did you get my message? Flex board view is going up in price because of people like you. So, by the way, that is basically it. Yeah, you can all thank Lewis. The price has gone up, $149 US, but to soften the blow, I've made it so it's 2 years of updates. By the way, Lewis, vertical board views are for people on the equator. Did you ever think about those people? No, you didn't. All you think about is yourself up in the northern hemisphere there. Anyway, this is probably going to melt on my first attempt, but I want to see if it can be done. Now, I mean, open board view, I mean, there's still stuff that gets done in flex board view that gets pushed into open board view. And that's the other thing, people got to realize that FlexBV in some ways funds the development of open board view now. Now I'm melting this bastard. I'll have to do this from the underside most likely. I was hoping I could do it from top side. Oh wait, there we go. Spoke too soon. Lewis, this is a donor board, you knob. Anyway, why aren't you fixing boards? Did you take Oreo home, or have you left him at the prison? Always burn the DC in connector, have no grace, added to for the main channel. Oh right, you've been editing. Thought you'd be repairing. Anyway, just like Lewis wants his office, I want my house, and so people have to pay for that. And since I'm not going to pay for it myself, I'm going to get everyone else to pay for it for me. DaVinci Resolve makes you sad. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know anything about that stuff. I'm a complete noob when it comes to video editing software, other than the fact that I know that things like KDN Live truly are awful. Alrighty. I mean, really, how do the people who do KDN Live even live with themselves? I mean, that's genuinely some spectacularly bad software. That'll do. If you want something other than KDN Live, there's always Shotcut. Shotcut is actually quite good. It's a bit feature limited. I think they only just added keyframes recently, but it does work, and it's not, it's stable, comparatively stable. Pen, I've tried Shotcut. One that I think that truly went from moderately bad to horribly bad was OpenShot. They really lost the plot. They started out, they had a reasonably good starting product. It was a little feature limited and it did have a little bit of crashing, but it showed promise. And then they got a whole bunch of funding, but they poured all their funding into just making it bling bling. And the downside is that it actually crashed a hell of a lot more afterwards. Yeah, OpenShot, the new versions are just terrible. Try Shotcut. Mind you, if you've got DaVinci Resolve or whatever else, there's no point. Oh man. What's going on? Where's my heat? I blame Chris Long for having to use his wick. Need more flux. We need a Lewis level of flux here. I'll do. Let's see. Pitivi was supposed to be compatible with using VA API on my laptops. I know GPU. Yeah, I use the VA API on this machine, and yeah, it's not too bad, but it's not the greatest either. There's definitely some encoding issues. The quality doesn't seem to be up there for some reason. I'm just trying to get the excess solder out of these legs now. Yeah, when it comes to video editing software, that was actually one of the first commercial Linux packages I bought. Well, actually probably about the second. The first commercial Linux package I bought was WordPerfect 6, I think it was. And then I bought a package called Main Actor. And it crashed like hell, but it was fully featured, including the crashes. And then unfortunately it got to the point where I couldn't really run it anymore due to library issues, which is a shame because I really did like it. You bought Sussy Professional 8, oh my goodness, $79, yeah. I was always Slackware was what I was using most of the time. I started out with Slackware 3.6. Back in 95, 96, I think it was. Where is my alcohol? Somebody needs to refill their alcohol. Hopefully that's what the problem is and not some hole in the tube or anything. Yeah, that's good. Lewis, when you work out your office arrangements, can you come over here and sort mine out, please? Oh, by the way, Lewis, this 559 V2 flux, why is everybody complaining that it's turning into this, like, really tough to remove, hardened gel? That one's not too bad. That actually came off. Fire architect. Oh, no, you can keep her. If you're firing her, you can keep her. Yeah, these days I use Ubuntu anyway instead of Slackware. Slackware was fun for a while, but once we started needing more and more complicated media libraries and things like that, it just became a major pain in the butt. And that's when I jumped over to Ubuntu. I had a short stint using Knoppix, and from Knoppix I jumped over to Ubuntu. Knoppix was never really meant to be a run from the drive type distribution. It was always meant to just be a live distribution. Why are you not coming off there, you little... That's better. I'm actually surprised Slackware still exists. I'm not sure which is going to die first. BSD? Well, I should say FreeBSD or Slackware. Geez, down to the last little smidge here. This is a little bit frustrating. Yeah, you're right, Lewis. I mean, they still do to a degree. There's a great deal of prejudice against people using Ubuntu in the Linux sphere, which is probably why I don't really identify as a classic Linux user, even though I have been with it since the mid-90s, because the culture that surrounds it is just a little bit stupid. It's like, oh, you're using Ubuntu, you're just an ordinary loser, you don't know anything about Linux. It's like, alright buddy, you go ahead, you keep thinking that. Ignore the fact that I've been using it longer than you've probably been alive, but then again, the whole age, that whole, I've been alive longer than that, that's a bit immature too on my behalf, so I'll partially retract that statement. You forced yourself to use Slackware. It was fine so long as you use the packages that Patrick packaged. Man, that's like Peter Pumpkin Eater sort of thing. But if you had to use something that wasn't pre-packaged, then it was not a very nice setup. Because the whole directory tree system was different to pretty much everybody else. Like, he merged the user tree and the main tree. It made it very confusing. So almost every single thing you tried to build, you had to specially customize just for Slackware. Yeah, it was a pain. Yeah, you know, that... Let's see, have I got legs floating in the air there? Well, I wouldn't call them 100% sitting down, but they seem alright. I probably could have done a better job. This is just a donor board. Hey Bryce, good to see you. As a mid-teenager, I fell into that garbage, that's why I'm so adamant against it now. Well, you know, I mean, that's growing up, isn't it? It's like we all go, well, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of us go through that kind of phase, and We do things like put top secret on our little manila folders, and we pretend to have dossiers on people, and we pretend to have secrets, and we pretend to have very expensive stuff that we stole from somewhere or whatever, but it's all just lies. And you grow out of it. But then again, some people don't grow out of it, and that's when you end up with the likes of, well, certain notebook website squads. People that exist on there are pretty good examples sometimes. There are good people there, I'm sure. Right, let's see. Hey, I got a bridge in there. See, Lewis has a little bit of rage there. That's interesting, that was actually a ball and not a bridge. Alright, let's see if we get our camera. We also have a problem with the solid state drive on this maybe not being detected, so it's a bit of a problem. Because this is Mojave, and it is on, what do you call it? Oh, come on, Paul, use your brain. Tick-tock, tick-tock. It's on HFS file format, so it's not APFS. So it should technically show up, but it does not. So I'm not sure whether I've got a, yeah, could be my solid state drive is still dead. The interface, not the drive itself, I mean. AI pitch, long time no see. Just trying to keep up the Joneses here. The Jessa Joneses and the Lewis Joneses and the Jason STS Joneses. Did I bugger up my... Did I? Come on, don't tell me I did. Some people have a laugh if I have. No, I think it's okay. Just needed a bit of forcefulness. Time for PMs? No, I actually handled that yesterday, Lewis. This board has been through some literal hell. Yeah, have I got solder? I think I've got solder down the inside there, I think. Let's have a check. Of course, we could always force it and break the connector, and then that's a nice $300 screen gone to waste. You need to get an S3 state. Is that for your brain or something else? Ah, come on, off the edge. Let's go into crotch cam territory. Shit. What is that? Is that flux or is that plastic? And now I have been demonetized because I swore. Let's see if I can stab my finger. I have a gut-wrenching feeling that that is actually melted. It seems a little squishy though. Yeah, that's no good. I have to do that again. Aquib 2000, you carry on with that and you get yourself a nice little band. There's definitely no free FlexBVs. It's bad enough that I have people over in New York saying incorrect things all the time. Yeah, we're going to have to take that back off. So it's interesting that it melted on the inside. I could hack it out, but that's not the right way to do it. I think what happened is that I had too much solder on the edges, so I'll know not to do that way this time. Yeah, I think back here is where the damage happened. It's a bit of a slow process, but it gets there. Here we go, starting to melt. Hey Gustavo. Yeah, nice slow heat. Didn't melt anything. Look at that. Not even any damage on there. Impressive stuff. Might even get hired by someone one day. Oh, looks like A-Quib took a hit. Warned you. Alright, well, we've only got about another dozen of these boards to take a donor camera connector from. Oh, what the hell? Alright, make that 11. 11 here. Oh yeah, Paul took the USB off that one. Yeah, that looks like I can use that one. Yeah, I might go from underneath. Hey, look, someone left a screw in there. Oh, no wonder. This is a dead board. Shame. What I worry about when I have dead boards like this that have come from customer machines and I start stripping parts from them is I worry that sometime in the future I'm going to come back to this and realise that it was something I could have fixed, but instead I wrote it off as a no fix and basically missed out on the money. Oh. Here we go, vertical board orientation yet again. Terrifying stuff for certain people. And this is vertical in two ways. Now I need to get my Vaseline. That holds the board up. Hey Eric. Hey Paul. Alright, we're going to go in from the back side now. Should be able to gently knock this off. Hey iPad. Oh dear, trust iPad too. There we go. Yeah, she's dead. No, that's good. How's it going anyway, Jesse? I saw your video. Oh yeah, that's right. You saw I was in there with your iPad recovery. I presume by now the person has all their information and is happy. I don't know if you saw my comment, but I was glad to see you had the new headset on with the microphone. No more sort of varying voice intensity, which is great for people like me. Hey Bailey. Tesla's Apple. Haven't seen you around before. Anyway, what I'll do is I'm probably going to put down a little bit of paste down here just to get things going. I need to just knock off this little bit of excess solder there though. And then I'll hit it with the iron, and it's still going to need a bit of hot air on the side just to assist it. Otherwise all that's going to happen is the paste will ball up, but it won't actually do anything. It won't bond anything. We're missing Jason, are we? Yeah, let me see if I can raise Jason. A bit of necromancy here. Where are you, Jason? He's probably still asleep, the poor bastard. I mean, he's in Florida. I mean, why wouldn't you sleep on a Sunday in Florida? I suppose if you go down to the beach it'd be nice. Live streaming. All the big guns are here. Who knows if he turns up? Okay. Hey Dravara, it's been a while. How you going? Where's that paste of mine gone? Which I might just do all the pads. Ah, disgusting. You gotta be careful with paste, the stuff gets everywhere. Before you know it, it's it ends up being a sauce on your ice cream or something. It's way too much paste. We don't really want to go into that connector though. I'll clean up most of this, don't worry. Stop your panicking. Gazman, can Boardview and Beta Boardview coexist? Yes, you can have any number of concurrent versions going. Because they all basically... Okay, I mean the configuration file gets shared, but the newer versions will just add, or yeah, they'll just add variables that we don't use anyway. Hey James Lee. Would it be worth putting some ISO on that and washing the old paste away first? Let's see, maybe meaning flux? I'm not too worried about... No, that's not going to work. Stupid little things. Normally when it comes to paste down on these parts, I'm very much used to using stencils, as in mylar stencils for connectors, and you just run the squeegee over it. Now I've got hairs down here thanks to those cheap nasty what you would call it, earbuds. What do you guys call them? Q-tips. We call them earbuds here in Australia because they go in your ear. Unfortunately, they're nowhere near as painful as cockroaches in your ear, which I can attest is excruciating. If you ever want to get the truth out of me, just threaten me with a cockroach in the ear, and believe me, I'll talk. I'll talk straight away. I do not ever want to have to endure that ever again. It was truly... it's terrifying, to be honest. There's the pain, and then there's the fear of... what's this thing doing? It's basically trying to dig its way through your eardrum. It's absolute agony. Hey, from Syria. Oh, good to see you guys up and alive. Yeah, you're not supposed to get pleasure out of earbuds, but I know what you mean. So now you know this should work, because this is how the part gets on there in the first place. But the trick is you've got to be patient, because when you remember, when this goes through a reflow process, like in the factory being manufactured, it's usually around about a 3 to 5 minute reflow process. But the first 3.5 minutes are essentially heating up the whole board. And then you have about 30 seconds where you ramp the temperature up to about 250 centigrade, that is. And then after that's done, you rapidly cool it down. So it's a game of patience more than anything else. The only trick is, when you're doing it this way, the tendency is though for the flux to burn out of the paste before it's ready to be, before the paste is ready to reflow. So that's where you tend to run into trouble. It's going to be getting close soon. And I've got the death grip on the hot air stick. Come on, it's any second now. It's starting to move. There it goes. Not sure where this ball came from. We'll let it cool off. Hey Flatlander, how's it going? The other scary thing you can have eating your brain, of course, is the amoeba. What is it, Nagari Fawali or something like that. That's also terrifying. Thankfully I've never had that, because I'd be dead otherwise probably. But I've certainly had a scare with it, or thought I had a scare with it, because I was clearing out my pond at the height of summer a couple of years ago. And I had a massive splashback of pond water. Went straight up deep into my sinuses. And of course, being a person who reads about this stuff far too much, it was the very first thing that came to my mind was that have I just shoved brain-eating amoeba up into my brain? And of course the anxiety for the next day or two gave me the very symptoms that you normally experience when you have in fact got amoeba eating your brain away. Okay, I shouldn't say eating. What actually happens is it shouldn't even be in your brain in the first place, and things just get really toxic and you just start melting away. I'll have to wash that away and see if I've got any pins not quite touching there. And we get quite a few, well, I shouldn't say quite a few, we get a reasonable number of instances of people dying from that here, because a lot of the water is very stagnant and hot, which is the perfect breeding ground for it. Well, maybe not breeding ground, but it's the perfect ground for it to become activated. It seems only to get activated when it's really hot. Looks like pins 4 and 5 could do with a little more help. Yeah, we'll give it a little bit of a touch up there. Yeah, one more thing to worry about. Welcome to my world. I just want to fix up those couple of pins, 4 and 5. Probably add more damn. Oh, we added a bridge. Not worried about that. When you're 10 years old and you're trying to put together a kit, yeah, that's when you worry about bridges. But you kind of get used to it after that. Bridges are hard to deal with if you do not know about flux. If you've got flux, bridges aren't a problem. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, Nelson, usually within about 3 to 10 days, isn't it? Well, 10 days for things to really start. Look, we've got a ball in there. Good thing we checked. That ball is just from seepage. It would have been from random bits of solder paste sitting underneath the. So let's hopefully we can get that out. Hopefully it hasn't actually. There we go. It's all good. It's like a little tumor. Okay. I'll have to depart here soon because it'll be time for Micro's insulin injection. Hey, what the? Let's see, Christians, toxic algae. Oh yeah, that's nasty stuff too. It's a bit scary. The more you learn about the world around you, the more you realise that it's quite a amazing thing that we live past the age of 10. Hey Marty, 1107. Let's see if we can actually get the cable in this time. I've probably buggered up the fan connector, I'd say. Have I? I almost think I have. Still plugs in, but I don't think it plugs in as far anymore. Right. Let's see if our camera connector goes in. It does. That is a success. And I will boot this with the external High Sierra. See how we go. I can do that. Is that a international or Australian bank transfer? Sorry, that'll be international, won't it? I forgot to hold down the option key. I don't know if this is going to boot. For some reason, this external drive doesn't seem to boot unless I do it through the option key method. France. Oh, okay. Alright then. Do you use Swift codes? Swift 2 code? Because I do have one of those. I mean, obviously, yeah. I use PayPal because it's fairly much everywhere. And most people do understand it. Some people hate it, but overall everybody understands it. Just checking my tips. Oh, okay. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Okay, let's try off the option key. If you just send me an email, remind me of, put in your YouTube name too. And at least that way when I've finished up with this and I've done micros, injection, whatnot, then I can sort that out for you. So I don't know why this does not show up. Now unfortunately it's a 165, so unless I can't test things. It's like I need to make yet another boot drive or something. Well, send me the email home and we'll have a chit chat. Let me see if I can maybe I can try and write Mojave back onto this. The USB is working, I know that, because it'll boot the MRI. But the MRI just won't work properly because this is a 00165. Yeah, see there, it's showing up, it's got the Mojave installer. Planes crashing, yeah, that scares me these days too. That's why I won't go visit Lewis, other than, aside from the personality clash. Yeah, Christian, I don't know. Free falling, or it's hard to say. Maybe they just tell you that so that you're not quite as scared of plane crashes. But what if, in fact, it's actually quite agonizing? It's probably the lead up to it, when the plane starts shaking and bits are falling off and the pilot's fighting to regain stability or stuff like that. Or the worst might be is if you're plummeting, you're at 40,000 feet and you're plummeting towards the ocean or the ground, and there's nothing you can do to stop it, but you got to sit in for that ride, and that's a long way down, and it takes a while to get there. And even if you're free falling, it still takes a while. That's enough time for you to have a couple of heart attacks. A video of Paul and Lewis would be awesome content. Well, Lewis has had an opportunity to interview me, but he seems to always balk at the end. Apparently he's got work to do or something like that. I don't know. Oh, sorry, Flatlander. I mean, I know you're being a little bit humorous there, but there's also a seriousness into that, because I completely understand. Oh, come on. Have I got sensor issues on this? It's taking a little longer than I'd expect to boot. Could take a boat, but then, what happens if you run into a great big storm? I mean, you're going across the Pacific, so it shouldn't be too bad, but it's not like you're going across the Atlantic. When live streams will be available on PeerTube, I'll be happy if I can make an interview of me. Oh, I do not even know what PeerTube is. Shows how sheltered I am. Well, this must have a sensor issue of some sort, because it's taking way too long. All the more reason to actually have a bootable operating system, so I can then at least bring up hardware sensor info. Icebergs, well, yeah. Fortunately, going across the Pacific, I don't think you'll run into that one too quickly. Worried about a plague on an ocean cruise? But Stray, what if the rest of the world suffers a plague and you're the only ones living because you're on the ocean liner? Juxtaposition, yeah, that's one of those annoying human traits where we disproportionately weigh the various statistics. It's a bit like here right now we have a plague of bats, and these bats potentially carry a virus. I think about 2.5% of them or something like that carry a virus called the Lissa virus. Now the Lissa virus is its closest analog is the rabies virus. It has a very similar effect. I myself have actually had to go through the inoculation process of that, which is no fun, but yeah, it could be worse. But in the last 20 years, there have been 3 known deaths of people from this virus, and in each case, it's because the people did not get medical care or weren't aware of the fact that they can get inoculated for it. Because essentially, what happens is once you get scratched or bitten by a bat, regardless, normally the bats are behaving very strange when it happens, but we don't bother making that evaluation. It's sort of a case of now, if you come into contact with a bat and you get scratched or bitten, you go and you get your shots. But so the 3 people who have unfortunately suffered and died, none of them were able, thought to get the shots, or maybe the shots weren't available for the first couple. But people completely lose their minds over the fact that we've got these plague of bats in town, and I understand it because bats are stinky and it's scary. But there's more risk of them getting killed by a car veering off the road and crashing into them as they sit on their porch than there is for them catching the lyssavirus. Did 25 days, Long Beach to Singapore. Pacific was like a sheet of glass all the way. Whew, that was a bit lucky, I'd say. We just had an outbreak of mosquitoes infect eastern equine encephalitis. One bite can infect you and degrade and die real quick. There's no, well, encephalitis is one of those things that, it's not good. Once that happens, it's pretty much over for you. And if they do manage to control your symptoms and keep you alive long enough for you to deal with it, then you're pretty screwed afterwards anyway. Oh man, that shouldn't have made me laugh, but it did, yeah. Click on the French language. No, I don't think so. Non, monsieur. Let's have a look at the disk utility and see if it actually can see the drive. And that is the micro alarm. Fortunately, he is on long-acting insulin, so we can take another minute or two. Yeah, so here we go. It is showing... What? It's saying it's an APFS? How the hell did that happen? I swear I formatted that as HFS. Yeah, because this is what I did. Went to here, Mac a standard journaled, apply, petition. And that I would have thought would have changed it to HFS, but nope. Irvin, really am 70, and the one thing I've learned is that I'm an old man with many problems, most of which have never occurred. Isn't it? Yeah, you make I don't know whether you're being deep and insightful there or not, but when I had my head break, about 9-10 years ago, it was because I was worried, compounding factor amongst everything else was that I was thinking that I had a great deal of certain ailments, but I didn't. The scary thing is, though, because of all that anxiety and stress, I now actually legitimately do have a few. So it's like, well done, Paul. You created a self-fulfilling prophecy there. Okay, so this is now macOS external journal. So I don't know how that got to be APFS, because I know I deliberately made this one, but I guess I didn't. Something went wrong. Unless Mojave changes it after it's done the EFI update. It's automatic now. Oh, flippin' heck. Great. Thank you. That'll explain that. I got High Sierra around here somewhere. Yep. Let's do High Sierra. At least now it's being petitioned. The things you learn. At least windshields don't crack your neck like they used to. Yeah. Tranquil. Paul, can I say thanks for the help and for all the work on FlexBoardview and Boardview. I appreciate the work you put into the software. Well, thank you. Yes, it's the Open Boardview thing has been a long-running process, and that's definitely been a fair bit of a community project with the likes of Pernov adding quite a bit to it. And then, of course, you know, I know about micro. I'll be up in about 10 minutes, I'd say. Yeah, thank you. Everything okay up there? Okay, thank you. Thanks, sweetie. Time to eat, but I can leave. Oh. Oh, homie, you can leave, I understand. But just remember to send me that email and we'll sort that out. But it's good to know that at least that is what happened, because I was adamant that I set it to HFS because of the fact that I know I get a lot of these 34, 37 or 165 boards and they don't yet have the APFS driver firmware in them. Workbench is half a kilometre away from home, so oh yeah, alright. My workbench is about 40 metres, 30 to 40 metres from the other side of the house where I normally live. But if I can sell enough copies of FlexBV, I will actually have the whole house, and then things will be much easier. I have done an update on Boardview on my side, on my fork. If you go to openboardview.org, you'll see Paul Daniels' fork or copy, and you can pick up my latest copy there. I did some updates on the user interface, and I added the open board data support for it as well. Put $500 license fee to Lewis Rossmann users. I was joking about that with someone today, but the reality is, if I submitted an invoice to Lewis, the Rossmann group, for every seat of license that they have there and extended support and all that sort of stuff, the very first thing they would respond back to me with would be an invoice for marketing services rendered, which would be in the tens of thousands of dollars. Because you got to admit, in spite of the fact that I get paid out a lot on the Rossmann streams with the FlexBoardview software, you could not pay a person with 1 million subscribers to announce my name and the software that frequently without being contrived. He does it so sincerely, which actually hurts a little bit. Almost every day, without it costing you tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And yet he does. So it's probably a good thing that I leave the bugs in there. Makes him rage a bit more. We can pay in Australian dollars. Oh, we can't pay. Yeah, well, I take in US dollars. Oh, the international transfer, that could be interesting. We'll sort it out. I can process credit cards directly if you need me to. I do have a processing terminal here. I don't normally do it for international ones because, as you can imagine, the the dispute claim level on that is quite high. Lewis speaks so bad of you now. Yes, he does. Yes, he's got one of those inverted relationships where the more he hates you, the more he actually, it's his way of saying that he actually really wants a big hug. That's why Apple leaves bugs in their hardware, to make Lewis rage. They've probably got a department now just for dealing with him. Australia 7, yeah, that's true. Someone mentioned there was a new version of Landrex out. I went looking and I could only find version 2.2, so I don't know. Does anyone know if there's a more recent version than 2.2? Because from what I could see, 2.2 looked just as good a personality as the one that Lewis used to use. Who's rage quit? Not me. Hey Stuart, I'm just about to leave shortly, but I want to get this High Sierra install going so that I do have a HFS solid state stick that I can put into other machines, and obviously I'll have to put the Unigine, whatever it is, Valley program in as well, so I can always test. So the problem here is that I've got to go do the insulin shot, and yeah, I agree to give my soul away, whatever. Oh well, so we're gonna have to leave it at that. So we're not going to be able to test see whether the camera works, so I'm just going to have to leave it in comments. P-books, I'm yeah, you know, I would have said the 1502 and the 1466s, if they had kept pretty much everything about that, added USB-C, and just upgrade the processor and the drive sizes, then yeah, that pretty much at this point was, in my opinion, the pinnacle of Apple's engineering department versus marketing department in their fight. After this, the marketing department kind of won a little more and resulted in crappier engineered products. So the 1466, 1398, 1502, around the 2014, 2015 era, I'd say is about where the peak was, and yeah, it's gone downhill from there for sure. Are they ID lock and drive still? I think that was really old stuff. Yeah, they don't seem to do it. I can put a Transcend drive into this and it will work fine. I mean, it'll be the same 1612 format, but Stuart, someone on his chat today said that, and so yeah, I went straight away looking for it to see what it was, but 2.2 is as high as I could find. Alright, well, I think I'm going to have to scoot off, because even though it's a slow-acting insulin, I do like to do it within a 15-minute window of when we're meant to, every 12 hours. And I will just have to leave in comments whether the camera worked or not. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I better scoot off. But thank you everyone for watching, and like I said, yep, Boardview is now 149 for 2 years of updates. 2 years of updates, peace, whatever, up yours, peace. And email direct support, and of course unlimited community forum support there. It's just the way it's got to go. This is business, got to do it, else I'm not going to have enough money to keep producing things for Boardview, and then that will make everybody unhappy. So thank you everyone for dropping in. I will update the comments of what's going on with this machine after it's been installed and we can check the camera, or I'll give the update in the next stream. Until then, you'll take care, watch out for the dingoes, I'll see you later.